Live here at Dan's Downtown Tavern, where tonight Devin Hayes will be launching his campaign for Michigan Senate District 15. He's a Republican. Let's talk about that right away. That's going to be a tough district for you.
Yes, sir, and absolutely. And the thing for me, my background, I'm an architectural designer. I'm not a lifetime politician. So the biggest thing that I can bring to the table is essentially being able to reach across that aisle. I've been in the higher institutions for about 5.5 years now, the last year and a half at the University of Michigan. So the majority of my friends, the majority of the people that I love dearly, believe and are on the opposite side of what I believe a lot of the time. So I'm not running as somebody that wants to be hardcore on this or hardcore on that. I want to get back to the point where we're able to have our own mutual values, but be in the center and have conversations. That's in the United States what we've lost so dearly, and where we're at very critical points of conversations aren't even being had. We're butting heads at every single point, and so being able to get in there and run as an individual that wants to bridge those gaps again, have those tough conversations, and believes that we can't, isolate or give up on anything or any specific district, because as you said, it's a very democratic district here, and that's a good thing and a bad thing depending on how you look at it. But ultimately, it's a district that the young individuals and the youth that's coming up, we don't believe anywhere should essentially just be left to the wayside. We should be having these conversations everywhere.
So you're on the younger side. You said you're 27 years old. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on the younger side. So being 27, I'm very blessed to be able to be with my wife. We're coming on 10 years this year, and 5 years of marriage. So we married young, and we've built everything together. So, we've worked for every single thing we have. Essentially, we put her through school first. She's a wonderful stylist, a cosmetologist. And then while she did that, I worked nights in an Amazon fulfillment center. So for me, I don't have that 30-year bureaucratic experience, but I have that work ethic, the everyday individual that, these problems are our problems. So we're on the front lines of all these issues. We're on the front lines of, dealing with the affordable situation in homes. We've had to choose between essentially taking out FAFSA loans, paying for college, and, dreaming of a specific future, or saving up for a home. We've gone through those situations of, hey, why'd the lights turn out this month? Oh, because we didn't have the ability to pay for the home bill. So essentially, I've had to work and very openly worked full-time, dealt with full-time school, and generally worked a second job for about 3.5 years now, because we understand more than anybody, being regular people, how hard it is to keep the lights on, how hard it is to keep the phone on, and how hard it is to keep the roof over our head. So stepping into this, it's not just about my background or not having that political pedigree or resume that most people have, but these issues that we want to run on and fix right now, if they're not fixed, it's people like me, it's people like you that essentially are left to the wayside.
Did I hear that you're going to be moving to Saline?
So we currently live in Pittsfield.
Pittsfield Township?
And we've loved Pittsfield. So I grew up, I was actually born in Ypsilanti, so very close to here, about 15 minutes. But me and my wife both grew up in the Plymouth Northville area. And coming to Pittsfield, it was getting into my master's degree at the University of Michigan in architecture. I've been there for about 1.5 years, and sadly I have to step away because of our tuition costs. It's just come to the point where it's not fiscally responsible to continue on, and we refuse to take the private student loans that are essentially highway robbery. So,
what are your solutions for public education, public universities, or private university? What are your solutions for education costs?
Yeah, well, I think there's something we can do right away. And, the House Republicans, Speaker Matt Hawley has been doing some great things in terms of getting the ability to go line by line in the state government. We also need to be able to go line by line in these public institutions to actually understand why it's $130,000 for a master's degree for somebody that's in state. So those situations, we need to understand what costs are going to administrators, why it's such a burden for individuals to be able to put themselves through school, because all we've created is systems where unless you have, parents paying for it or you have grandparents paying for it, essentially a ride through those situations, it's extremely difficult to build in those areas. So for somebody like me and my wife, where we've built every single aspect of our lives together, it's not doable unless you're working the 80, 100 hours a week. I've capped on weeks where I put in 106 hours in a single week, and the only time we're seeing each other is at dinner. And that's the reality for most individuals that are trying to go to these institutions, because the institutions, a lot of it's a network game. So you're paying for the degree, yes, but you're also trying to build a career inside of places that have the correct connections.
What are some of the other things that you care about that if elected you'd be working on?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's quite a bit of things. So the biggest thing for me is essentially our ability in Michigan to build families. This is one of the greatest nations on the planet, if not the greatest. That's my personal belief. And this is one of the greatest states in that country. So what we have to be able to do is raise families again. We are individuals, like you said. We're 27, my wife is 28. We want to be building a family. And essentially the affordability has stopped us from doing that. So the first thing we need to be doing is getting back to young individuals, not 40-year-olds only, being able to purchase homes. The second aspect of that is we have to make sure our societies are safe enough and we have enough individuals that can talk again to where people aren't having the conversations of, I don't want to bring a kid into this world because it's just too messed up. We gotta start fixing those things because ultimately children are the future. They're the greatest blessing.
Well, and if you don't have a birth rate that can sustain the population, that you've mentioned several reasons why maybe we don't at this point. Yes.
That's the future. The children are the future. I mean, that's not a novelty idea, you know. And so most of my platform is, you know, being a regular individual that just wants to be able to build a family, wants to be able to build a life, and wants to stay here in Michigan and do it all here. Because so many individuals, they go to college or they, you know, attempt to grow something and they end up leaving Michigan. And Michigan's one of the most beautiful states. We shouldn't be last in education or very close to last. We shouldn't be close to last in anything. This is an amazing state, and it needs to get back to that.
So I got to run to a city council meeting.
Yes,
but
sir.
Just one thing: what can people expect if they come here to see you here tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. You can expect a groundwork grassroots movement that's built on family. You know, everybody here, they believe in what we're doing. They believe in the American dream still. They don't believe that we should give up on things or we should leave things to the wayside. We need to come together as a country. We're not just running as right, we're not just running as left, we're running as Americans again. We're running as Michiganders. And so that is the most important thing, is, you know, not just running on specific platforms, but having the tough conversations and realizing every single side is coming from an empathetic platform, you know, believing in what they say, and most of it is loving. We butt heads so much. So for me, it's stepping across that aisle, stepping into the Ann Arbors, into the Salines, into the Ypsilantis, and having the conversations. We agree on so many things, but it's just twisted, and the narrative is switched, and when we actually have the face-to-face, the deep conversations, we realize we're all good people that want to push forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, and have a great night here tonight at Dan's in downtown Saline.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.